So today, this is part of the Save Our Steeples project. We're recording on Friday, November 19th, 2021, and I am interviewing Charles Voytko. So Charles, what was your relationship to the original church that was closed?
My family lived catty-corner of it while it was being constructed. My dad told me stories of the construction.
Now, which church was this?
St. Stephen's, I'm sorry.
Okay.
St. Stephen's Church. He watched them build it. He might have been a man of about 15, a boy about 15. And he always told me stories about it, how they remember the stained glass being brought in from Munich. There's beautiful stained glass windows that came from Munich. And as a boy, I was baptized there. And as a boy, I had to go to church there. And I can remember the charismatic Father Markman stuck in my mind as an old Slovak church. But then eventually we moved the brownstone and I broke off from the church. I had joined St. Michael's, so I was out of it. But I still had a feeling for St. Stephen's all along. My dad still went there. He was buried there. And the church, to me, meant a lot in my early life, part of my formation.
Oh. So how did you hear about them closing?
Through media, Tribune Democrat.
And how did that make you feel when you heard?
I was kind of caught off guard, and I thought it was kind of overdone too fast. I thought, I didn't know the churches were in trouble, but I didn't know that they had to do such radical things. So to me, it was kind of a radical movement, yes.
Yeah. So how did you hear about the Save Our Steeples Initiative?
Through my cousin Alice, actually. She was in it first. And she knew that I had graphic design experience. And I moved back, I took an early retirement, I had a design and graphics business. I did a lot of voluntary work in Johnstown, and I still do. And so I did a lot of the publicity for Save Our Steeples.
Great. How else were you involved other than the graphic design?
I attended the meetings and helped fundraising, and I can show you some of my things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I designed the original logo.
Oh, great.
So that was one of the things I designed. And also, we had a fundraiser for selling T-shirts. And I designed the T-shirt, because to try to include all the churches' instant, recognition.
Oh, that's great.
And I did that. So I think we sold them at some of the ethnic festivals. And then also banners. We had some concerts before it was called Grand Hall. We had tickets there. We had things going on. It was Christmas, big Christmas celebration. So I participated in a lot of those early things.
So when the diocese puts pressure on the Save Our Steeples group to give the churches to someone, and then we brought in 1901, how did you feel about 1901 taking control of the churches at that point?
I didn't know too much about it, and I found out they were pretty reputable. They saved the church in Jennerstown, and they had experience in it, and I thought that they had the experience to be able to do something like that, and I proved it, yeah.
I'm guessing you were pretty happy when you found out that St. Stephen's was going to be one of the churches that was repurposed.
Yes, I was, and I also helped some of the interior work to kind of take the Slovak stains off of it because they wanted to make it a neutral church. I did the Stations of the Cross. I translated the old Slovak and I laid it out graphically in the big city signs. Did a beautiful job matching the green background so it fit right in. Right now, when you walk into that church, it's in English, the Stations of the Cross. I kind of feel proud about that project. And that was done with Father Thomas. He was actually there. And my cousin Alice was on the board, on St. Stephen's board, and she told me about it, and I decided to volunteer my expertise to get the thing done, and it came out pretty good, I think.
So obviously you read Slovak.
Well, yeah, not quite. I had to have some help on it. The translation was kind of tougher. You couldn't really literally translate it from Slovak because it wouldn't sound right in English.
So when after the diocese gave 1901 the churches, then eventually Stella Property Management bought St. Casimir's from them.
That's what I understand.
So any thoughts about the church going to a for-profit organization?
Well, I wasn't aware it was for-profit. I just remember they did some concerts in there during a music festival. I went in there, and the church was pretty well taken care of and cleaned up inside. And they actually donated the statue or the sculpture of Pietà to St. Stephen's Now Resurrection. That came from St. Casimir's. And I thought that was a good thing, the way they did that.
And of course, the diocese also kept St. Rochus as a chapel.
Yeah.
So those two churches were taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Any other personal stories you'd like to tell us about either working on projects with Save Our Steeples or the churches in general? It's been 13 years since those churches.
Is that
have
right?
closed.
I wasn't sure that
They closed in 2009.
Because I've done so many projects. And yes, I like a lot of the things at the Grand Hall. I approve of what they're doing, some of the things that they had. I went to a lot of concerts there. And they're a good sign if they're doing quite well. I think St. Columbus is the next job. And I'm looking forward to seeing performance down there, theater performance. So yes, I feel that they did a good job so far.
Do you think you'd ever get involved in something as big again as the Save Our Steeples?
No, I'm getting too old. I'm almost 90 years old. I still do my volunteer graphics and things I volunteer for Stackhouse Park, for Johnstown Concert Ballet. I do all their publications, and Audubon Society. I've done some carvings and some graphics for those too, but it's all volunteer work. So.
Anything else you'd like to share with us today? Any other thoughts or feelings about all of this?
I'm looking forward to seeing what St. Casimir's is doing. I had some stories. I heard it was going to be a restaurant, but I don't know if the restaurant's on hold or not now. And I thought this area needs another restaurant just since the back door's closing.
Right.
It wouldn't be a bad idea if it's the right restaurant. It would probably have to be non-profit or profit if it's for a restaurant.
Right.
So I like to keep in touch and see how they're doing.
Do you think if Save Our Steeples hadn't existed, what do you think the diocese would have done with those churches?
I thought they had torn them down.
Really?
Sold it, tore it down.
Just like the
if they could have got around the historical side. I'm not quite sure the historical society would have let them turn it down, but I'm not quite sure of that. Mm-hmm. It's historical preservation for the area. But yes.
Do you think some of the hard feelings that happened as a result of the closing of the churches, do you think people have gotten over that by now?
Yes, I think so.
Do you think?
Yes. I was really hoping that one of the churches could be into a traditional mass, because I'm a traditional mass person. I was at the time, but it never happened. There was talk about it, saving a church for the traditional mass, but I imagine the bishop didn't approve of that.
I remember there was a group that wanted Immaculate Conception to be the Latin Rite.
Yes, the Latin Rite Church, yes.
Yes, and
I thought that would be interesting.
Yes.
But at least they tried, so.
Yeah. Anything else for us today?
No, I'm just glad that this Canberra City is in the shape it is right now. And again, I'm with the ballet and rebought that house, and so the dance works now as part of the whole thing. So I'm in both things.
All right. Well, that's all for today. I'd like to thank you for your thoughts and for bringing in your artwork. Yes. I had forgotten about all those logos and different things that we used.